I'm Anthony Wilrell. Welcome to Eyes on Como, where we put a spotlight on Columbia and Boone County local government and politics. Now, it's been a while since I posted a video, and a lot of things have changed with Columbia local government. Specifically, we have 2 new council members. First Ward seat now belongs to Nick Knoth, and the 5th Ward seat now belongs to Don Waterman. We'll get into a lot of that in upcoming videos, but right now we're going to jump into what I call the saga of the homeless camp eviction that happened last week here in Columbia. Now, this is a complex story. We're going to be looping in news stories from Como Buzz, KCRG, KMIZ, KOMU, as well as taking a look at public comment that happened at this Monday's city council meeting and comments from DeCarlin Seawood, as well as several city staff members. This is a complicated subject, and we're going to try and be really thorough, so this is going to be a long video, but trust me, it's worth watching because it reveals a lot of things about how our government is, or in this case, isn't functioning. So to begin with, let's start with explaining what I mean by the eviction of the homeless encampment. So we have an ever-growing population of people experiencing homelessness here in Columbia. You can't walk outside of your house in many parts of the city without noticing it. And increasingly, we don't have the resources, even with local nonprofits, to help everybody that needs help. And trust me, these people need help. So what has happened is that a lot of them have started just camping around town, starting little communities and camping on city property. And one of these camps is located north of I-70 and east of 63, kind of behind Home Depot and all of that. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what was going on at that camp, because these camps, the conditions there aren't great. It's truly just people trying to get by and trying to live their life. But I want to be upfront from the beginning here and show that I'm aware of the fact that it wasn't glorious living conditions in these camps. But the point of this video is to show that there was absolutely another way to approach this issue than what went down. So in this first picture, you can see we have some tents where people are sleeping and living, and we have some shopping carts that interestingly are from Target on the other side of town entirely. And that's because for many of the people living in these camps, they've been forcibly relocated many times before, and there used to be a camp located on private property near the mall where Target is at in town, and these people have moved these carts all the way across town with them. Here's some more tents, some more carts, a bicycle. You'll notice for the first time in this picture, there is some trash here. And that's because there are no trash or sanitation services on this site. Something that is important and we'll cover later in this video, because they have absolutely been requested for this site. And the replies from the city have been interesting, to say the least. Here we do have a rather large accumulation of trash, but I think it's important to note that it's mostly organized, piled up, and they do make some effort to keep their camp clean because they do live here after all. I know people that do a lot of volunteer work and go into these camps and bring people food, medical services, things like that, and it's not perfect in there by any means, but these people do what they can. And they also have ways of getting by. Many people experiencing homelessness have jobs, but a lot of them do salvaging and stuff like that. And so a lot of stuff is being hauled into the camps to do that and then sitting in these piles while they process through it. That's one reason you see a lot of this trash in these camps that I think a lot of people are not aware of. And this last one I want to include just because it really illustrates that this looks like a camp if you were to go camping. You know, people are living here. There's tents pitched. There's clothes drying on the lines. The biggest difference here is that when you go camping, there are trash and sanitation services on site, and you're able to pack out what you pack in. But there's no packing out if this is your home. So again, it's a complex issue with multiple layers, but it's super important to humanize it and show that people are living here and that it looks like something that you've seen before if you've ever gone camping in your life. It's not some strange thing going on here. It is people sleeping and living. That gives you a better idea of what's going on in these camps. Now we get to the point where we need to point out that with increasing numbers of homeless population here in Colombia, we have unfortunately seen increased hostility towards these people experiencing homelessness as well. This is manifested in many ways, but one of the biggest ones is on social media. I don't want to post any of it here because I truly don't want to glorify this behavior. I also don't want to get into it too much personally with too many people on this issue, but there's many groups on Facebook like Como, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know you're from Colombia when work together in the community Colombia, things like this, where people tend to gossip about all manner of things. And earlier this year, late last year, people started posting pictures of the homeless encampments on there, and it blew up. Another thing that's super important to point out is that many of the people that are posting these in these groups to begin with, posting pictures, drone footage of the camps, are also people that work for private companies that often clean these camps up and get paid to do so when they're on private property. So there may be some profit motive involved in this, and that's pretty gross. That's just really gross. No other way to put that. So it has amounted to increased hostility and bad actors possibly using a profit motive to feed off of that increased hostility to create a really toxic situation surrounding homelessness here in Columbia, Missouri. More toxic than, homelessness inherently is. To make a long story short, eventually the city of Columbia came out and said that they were going to need to evict this camp. And the reasoning was suspect. So let's take a look at the very first news stories that broke about the fact that the city of Columbia was going to forcibly evict this encampment. The story is from KRCG's Mark Slavitt, dated March 15th, entitled DNR Issues Warning to City of Columbia Concerning Pollution from a Homeless Camp. Columbia city leaders were taking steps Wednesday to clean up a homeless camp just north of the Interstate 70 and Highway 63 connector. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources issued a complaint about the homeless camp to the City of Columbia concerning pollution in a nearby creek. City of Columbia spokeswoman Sydney Olson said city leaders were preparing to post a 30-day warning to people living in a homeless camp near Hinkson Creek along Highway 63. Olson said that 30 days would give the homeless population in that area plenty of time to plan and relocate. The city-owned property across the street from Columbia's Home Depot is a homeless camp filled with trash, human waste, drugs, and homemade tents covered with tarps. Toxins from the homeless camp are flowing into nearby Hinkson Creek, causing possible health concerns for the community. State inspectors said damage could spread to other Columbia creeks if city crews didn't clean up the mess. Olson said, "We're not to a point where we have any concerns for residents, but we did get that warning that this needs to be cleaned up. There are violations. We need to look at other similar areas. If we don't clean that up, we could see further damage to our waterways, which we obviously want to prevent to keep the community and environment safe." Columbia business owner Nate Goen posted aerial photos of the homeless camp on Facebook. KRCG contacted Goen, and he referred us to his comments on social media. Goen said the city needs to act quickly because he claims homeless people are dumping trash everywhere and homeless people are walking on Highway 63 at all hours of the day and night. City officials plan to help people living in the homeless camp by contacting shelters and other resources that provide a new place to live. Olson said, "We're doing our best to help those individuals while also following city code and environmental rules as well." Olson said city leaders were in the process of building a new homeless shelter called the Opportunity Campus on the business loop near the city power plant that could help prevent any future homeless camps. Olson said people living in the homeless camp along Highway 63 would get their 30-day notice to leave the property later this month. Several things in this article immediately raised red flags in my mind. Primarily that there's a speed at which these things move and usually a paper trail when we're talking about things like a citation or a possible citation from the Department of Natural Resources. Also, the vicinity and time to when all of this was blowing up on Facebook, as well as the article itself linking the events to the drone footage that showed up on Facebook was certainly interesting. So me and a few other people got to work trying to figure out if there was indeed a citation. We submitted sunshine reports for any communication back and forth between city officials and the Department of Natural Resources. We had to submit those several different ways and be really specific about our language, because the city has a habit of not being completely faithful in filling sunshine requests, even when they know damn well what it is that you're asking for. So if anyone from the city is watching this, that's how we feel about it. You know damn well what we're asking for 99% of the time. There's no need for us to be more specific, besides the fact that you are being adversarial. And besides that, there's also many other falsehoods in what city spokeswoman Sydney Olson had to say there. How cavalier she was when she said that a 30 days notice would give these people plenty of time to find a new place to live. These people already think that the best place for them to live is a road, a patch of land at the corner of two highways behind a Home Depot. All right, if there were a million resources and places to live and other places to exist, these people would be there. 30 days is not enough time for people that don't have any resources to relocate. That idea is stupid. I don't have a problem saying it. Sydney Olson, that was stupid. Also, the Opportunity Campus, that is years off if it happens. There's still a lot of bureaucratic red tape it needs to get through. It's not a done deal that that shelter is going to get built at all right? Additionally, Mark Slavitt uses terms like toxins flowing into the creek and drug-filled camp that seem to be just his own voice in the article. That's not attributed to anybody or anything. He also refers to state inspectors in something that they said without ever quoting any state inspectors or mentioning what state inspectors he talks to. Very interesting. Either way, the takeaway that most people had when they read this article was that the Department of Natural Resources had told the city of Columbia that they need to evict this homeless encampment. That's not what happened, though, as you'll come to see. So I mentioned the sunshine requests that we sent out. My wife did a lot of those. Largely, my group, Hold Como Accountable, did those. We won't get into the specifics of who did what, because we like to keep everything with Hold Como Accountable fairly decentralized, because we find that we're able to get more done more effectively that way. So we got those sunshine requests back, and notably missing from it was any sort of citation. We'll go through some of what was found in there, and we'll release everything that we got in those dumps. I'll post a link here in this YouTube video. We'll also share it on the Hold Como Accountable and Eyes on Como Facebook pages, so everybody can dig through the documents that we've had the privilege to dig through. There was a lot of communication between Second Ward residents, because Second Ward is where this camp is at, with Councilwoman Andrea Wayne. She was mostly forwarding those comments along to city departments and facilitating communication back and forth. There were a few documents that the city did receive from the Department of Natural Resources, but all of those were just complaints that they had received from citizens, some of them anonymous, that they had forwarded over to the city, because that is what they do when they get a complaint, is they forward it along. There's also a series of photographs that we'll go into where it does appear that a Department of Natural Resources inspector did go out and take some photographs of the site, but notably did not confirm any toxins or anything of that nature. It just took some supplementary photographs to include with this report that went to the city. So let's take a look at some of those documents. This first document is what would eventually go on to be represented by many media outlets as the DNR complaint that triggered the eviction. It's dated December 13th of 2022, which is important. Keep that in mind. There's a few things here that stand out immediately. First one being that this comes from an automated email address. You can't even respond to it, as noted on the bottom. It also starts with the line saying that nothing in it has been fact-checked. This is, by all accounts, simply an automated process where any complaint that gets to the DNR spill line gets forwarded over to the city, producing this document. It is not a DNR complaint, not official citation or anything, and it's not the smoking gun that the media portrayed it as. This document shows that somebody from the DNR did go and take some photographs to supplement that spill report, and they identified a couple of specific issues. They didn't say that they were specifically actionable, but they did take a picture of some shopping carts in Hinkson Creek and a dryer that was next to Hinkson Creek. And that brings us to this letter from Deputy City Manager Mike Griggs to City Manager DeCarlin Seawood, dated January the 31st of 2023, a full 6 weeks or so after the DNR complaint was supposedly received. Interestingly, Griggs identifies a different camp as the #1 priority. In fact, at the bottom of the letter, Griggs for the first time refers to it as an official DNR complaint and says that that's why the camp needs to be cleaned, but that they'll only clean it after they've cleaned some other ones up. You would think that if the complaint was what was driving this, that they would be in a hurry to clean up that camp first, wouldn't you? There are a lot more documents here, and I encourage you all to check them out. Again, we're posting them in the description of this video as well as in a few places over on Facebook. There's lots of different communications on this subject, and it's really interesting to see how it is that decisions are made in the city, who is talking to who, things like that, as well as the fact that it seems to reveal that there was never really any official DNR citation, and that if anything there were a few actionable items that DNR wanted Columbia to take care of, and it was fully the city of Columbia's decision to act with the urgency that they acted and to respond by wholesale clearing out the camp by evicting the residents, not just helping them to clean it up. This idea was parroted in the media all over the place. Let's look at some more news stories that ran over the next month after that KRCG story. KMIZ. City of Columbia set to clean out homeless encampment next week. The City of Columbia says it will start cleaning out a homeless encampment located near the Highway 63 and Interstate 70 connector next week after receiving complaints from both the Department of Natural Resources and residents. KOMU. Resident complaints and DNR warning lead to closure of homeless camps in Columbia. Columbia, Missourian. City set to clear homeless camp. Olson said city staff began discussing encampments in the summer due to complaints from neighboring residents and a violation issued by Department of Natural Resources. The department first issued a violation notice about trash buildup in Hinkson Creek in December. The rationale for why the city cannot provide encampments with dumpsters, Olson said, is simple. It does not have the resources to provide them. She said it would be difficult to follow up with residents of the encampment to see if they were using them. That last one is particularly interesting, as Sydney Olson provides for the first time rationale for why they can't provide trash and sanitation services to the camp, saying that they don't have any way to get there and service them and make sure that they're actually being used. This rationale would come up again once they actually got around to evicting the camp, saying that there were no roads into the camp and the only way to evict them would be to close down an entire lane of Highway 63 with multiple cop cars. That's simply untrue though, as there is a road into the camp that can be seen on this map right here. And I know people that have been into the camp accessing it by road. In fact, when they finally did evict this camp, they brought heavy machinery in via this access road. It would seem that the idea that they can't service this site safely and the idea that they had to close down 63 is all completely fabricated and just for show. So while the media was rolling with this narrative, the city did show up and post the 30-day eviction notice in the camps, and that 30 days came and went and they evicted the campers. So now I'm going to show you some footage from the eviction process that was posted by Como Mobile Ed Collective.
Okay, I see cops at Tony's camp starting to tear his stuff down. I'm gonna walk over there. Yes, I'm walking through the woods crying because this is horrible and heartbreaking. People are losing what little they have and being threatened with arrest. My team should be here soon, but right now I'm by myself. And the cops are probably not going to like that very much. Looks like they were looking in Tony's camp. He left yesterday. Good morning. I'm Catherine with Como Mobile Aid Collective. I'm here to advocate and support for our friends as they move today. Okay. How are you all?
One camper here, his name's Will.
Coming to check on them.
So he's trying, I told him try and get your tents. So, because he needs shelter. So
I know.
I was like, try and get your tents before you do anything else.
Yeah.
So he's got a couple guys helping him. They said they have a truck coming.
Okay.
So we're trying to give him as much time as possible.
Thank you.
I'm working against my bosses.
I understand.
So
Thank you.
I'm trying. Will's a really nice guy. He's always been awesome with us every time I've been out here. So I'm trying to give him an opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
So,
we have a team coming to help
awesome.
people
Okay.
as needed.
Most people are gone.
Yeah.
Most people are gone. I think it's him and his wife and then 2 guys over there helping him.
Okay. Cool.
I said, we'll get your tents because you're going to need those
Yeah.
wherever you go.
Thank you.
So,
I
if you wanna
appreciate.
check on him,
I'm
that'd be
going
awesome.
to. Thank
Okay?
you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
That was a good interaction. Okay. I feel hopeful about that. You can see there's purple everywhere. It looks like Sean and Wendy are gone. Yep, their camp is down. I'm going to keep the camera off people, though. Hey, y'all. I'm live streaming, but I don't have your faces on. Hi. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, radio. Calm down, buddy. It's okay.
Abby's here.
I just talked to the cops. They said they're giving you guys some time and space to get things together.
Yeah, they at first, until we showed up, they weren't even gonna fly back.
Yeah, the media texted me and said that they were escorted out. So we have more people coming too. So I'm just checking on everybody. Okay, I love you guys. I'll be here for a while. Almost to the top of the hill, there's one camp that might be left that I want to make sure he's okay. Because I haven't seen him for a few days. This is Paul's old camp. Looks like some people have got their crates ready to go. I did see some other cops wandering through the woods. Those guys were really nice. I feel grateful for that. Anybody home up here? It's Kat. He might have gone already. It is a really beautiful space up here. I've been coming and looking off this bluff for a long time. Again, there's a lot of stuff up there. I get that, but if there were more resources, people wouldn't need to hoard resources. Okay, I'm gonna break off while I go back down the hill and see if the rest of the team is here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Just walking through the woods crying. No big deal. So since we were told to get out of the property that's marked with purple, we're now not on the property marked with purple. Looking at this police train. They brought all the heavy machinery in, but it looks like they're bringing some from down there too. Here's some of our friends. We just saw some, hug them. They're tired and cold and sad. There's a canine unit. We'll stay away from that. Scooby's in my van. Do not join CPD. It looks like some friends are trying to get their stuff out and hopefully not been arrested. Can you all just not take her into custody today? It's such a stressful day.
She tried to push past 3 officers towards all heavy trespass.
Not fair. It's just because
Shit. Shut up, she doesn't have anything on her. Uh-oh. Crap. So Amy is being taken into custody because she, I guess, just pushed her way past 3 other officers after she was told to leave. I don't know what they're taking off of her person. This is very disappointing. I asked if she could just be released, and they said that she tried to push past 3 cops. So I guess they're going to take her into custody. Crap. Yep. And these are actually the nice officers that are out here too. So I just had to run and get a cat carrier for one of the cats and walked up to see this was happening. So Amy will likely be getting a trespass charge. I don't know if they found anything on her, but bail fund, friends, stay tuned, please. I mean, this is why we're out here. We're definitely not going to interfere with arrests, but we're going to witness the arrests. Crying in the woods again, crying on the side of the highway. So, good news, friends out there. I just talked to the officer. They actually did not end up arresting Amy. They removed her from the area and released her and told her not to come back, or she probably would get arrested. So I'm feeling extremely grateful about that, and relieved for her. Hi everybody that has been watching throughout the day. We so appreciate you all checking in and sending love. We're hanging out by the side of the road right now, waiting for a friend to come with a box truck. The last folks have a lot of stuff. I'm real grateful that somebody's gonna bring a truck and help with this. I'm not totally sure where they're gonna land, so that's a bummer, but at least it's a beautiful day outside. So far, nobody did get arrested. People ate lunch. We all kind of rested. With some of the campers, they rested too. People are pretty worn out. Radio's here with me. Hi, Radio. He's so handsome. He's worn out too. You know, I think that people left and actually are not landed in a place that's going to be safe for them. So they're going to have to probably move again, unfortunately. I don't know what that's going to look like. We'll kind of see. Anywho, I just wanted to thank everybody for chiming in today and looking out with us. And it's been a good kind of like, we had about an hour to rest in the shade and the breeze. Hi, David. Just kind of waiting for a couple other folks to show up. So we'll check back in. Thanks, everybody.
That's where we'll stop part 1 of this video. Part 2 is where things start to get really interesting though, as Mike Murphy from Como Buzz explores the situation around the DNR citation, did it or did it not exist, and DeCarlin Seawood as well as city staff responds at city council. In the meantime, keep your eyes on Como and keep your eyes on this channel for part 2.